behalf of the faculty and staff at Singularity University, welcome to the Global Summit. Quick show of hands, how many people traveled from outside the country to arrive here? Yeah, look around if you didn't get a quick glimpse of that. We have almost 1,600 people from more than 64 countries represented in the room today. Yeah, absolutely. And that means we have entrepreneurial leaders, government leaders, we have corporate execs, thought leaders from academics, investors, finance leaders. I will also suggest that this may very well be the most diverse group meeting today on the planet. I think you could almost say that. So what comes out of that is going to be a very interesting question. Since you all traveled from abroad, many of you traveled from abroad, I want to really thank you. Considering the news that we've had over the last week, coming to California isn't like it used to be, right? Even especially with the news this morning. Did you guys see the announcements this morning and how the UN responded? No. There was nothing that I know of, but the fact that all of us are in this very heightened state of anxiety about what might be released at any moment is really alarming. And so I just want to acknowledge that that was probably some of your thinking as you were coming to attend this event. This is a reality that we live in today that doesn't feel great to us either, right? Many of you probably thought, what is going on in the US right now? Are those people crazy? And we kind of think the same thing right now, right? So you're not alone. It's a really interesting time for us. I also think it's a very opportune time, but we need to manage it. So the first thing I just want to mention is the news right now is wacky, right? I personally listen to Peter Diamandis. He has a great suggestion, which is to never look at the news. Because if you just open it up today, you will be depressed and debilitated. How do you function when this is on your mind? It's a big problem. And we should really acknowledge that and the impact it has on us personally every single day. I do not look at the news during the week unless somebody tells me I need to, because my week is wrecked when I start thinking about these things. One of the main reasons I am here today and running this organization are these two. Beckett, 4, Romy, 9 months. Beautiful, amazing, I love them, right? Their future looks nothing like my past. Nothing. Almost every aspect of their lives, by the time they're my age, is going to be radically different. Radically different. Over the next 3 days, you are going to hear detail after story after breakthrough startup about how communication is going to be ubiquitous, how longevity, if you live 20 more years, you might just make it for as long as you want. Crazy stuff that we're going to build up pretty credible case around. They're never going to learn how to drive cars. They're not going to go to university. Those things I'm pretty sure of now. But what will that future ultimately look like for them? I think it may be a tale of two paths here. When we're bombarded with that crazy news and you're stuck trying to think about just the problem that your company is facing for the next quarter or that next political cycle that you're going through and how to deal with it, when do we have time to think about what 30 years from now might look like and the roadmap to get there? Because if we don't start creating the roadmaps and establishing the credible experiments and infrastructure and systems to create the future that we want, we're just going to get whatever we get. And if you read the news or you watch any movie from Hollywood about the future today, you get the dystopian Hunger Games zombie apocalypse, right? That's all we get from the news. That's all we get from Hollywood today about the future. But that's not going to be our future unless we really want it. I think we can create something much different, but it's not predestined. There is a lot of work to be done. And it's not just about technology. It's about what you all are going to do with technology and how you're going to bring it back and what future we can craft. What's more are all the things that got us to where we are today are not going to necessarily create that future. And how do we think about that long-term future when you walk outside of this building and this is the scene you get? This is literally around the corner. I took this morning. In one of the richest parts of the world, the disconnect between the poorest of us and the richest of us on the same block is extraordinary. This is in the US, right? And I know many of you experience this everywhere around the world. This is a hard reality to face. And just like looking at that news, if you walk down the street and this is all you think about, how do you take the time and have the space to think about crafting a future that you want to live in? How do you think about big ideas when this is the day-to-day reality? It's a difficult problem. You have to be able to hold both in your mind at the same time. You have to accept and acknowledge that this is what we deal with on a day-to-day basis and work hard to fix those problems, but also make sure that that is on a roadmap to create a bright future. And I hope that is why you are all here today. You're going to see and hear about and experience the technologies that have the most radical implications and opportunities of all of human history. We are going to transform every aspect of our lives, every industry, every business, every society, and what it means to be human in our lifetimes. And you're going to get that awareness. You're going to start thinking and having discourse about these technologies here, and I hope you take those back with you. And while you're here at the summit specifically, I hope you start to get engaged in some of these projects and initiatives that are taking us on the roadmap to that bright, brilliant, amazing, possible future. So one of the very fun and exciting things that we have here today is our 2017 Global Grand Challenge Awards. We have about 36 different projects that we're going to be showcasing over the course of the next 3 days. It's going to be a lot of amazing projects. They're going to need a lot of help to be successful and to scale out in the world. That's where all of you come in. We just finished GSP 17. Anyone from GSP out there? All right. So we have a class. We had about 90 students from 48 countries that arrived, spent the last 10 weeks with Singularity University. They lived at NASA Ames, our campus, and they have focused on climate future. And there's more than 30 projects that you're going to hear a handful of over the next few days. They're going to need a lot of support, a lot of guidance. But those are the ones that are going to help us on that roadmap to create that brilliant future that we could create. SU has more than 50 startup companies in its portfolio. All need more funding, all need more scale. And we just did a survey recently. One of the things you'll find very soon, as many of you are here for the first time, as you go back out, we really want to hear from you. Because we want you to be engaged in this community, because you're going to be the secret sauce to making sure those projects make a difference in the world. And so we will send out a survey. How many people are working on an impact initiative that can transform one of these GGCs? Okay, how about a show of hands? How many people are working on actually first question, how many people reported to us in the survey that they're working on an impact initiative in the room? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. How many people think today they're working on a project, a company, or initiative that directionally is going to help us tackle and solve the grand challenges or make a positive difference in the world? Anyone? Okay, great. So we only knew about 5 of them in the room, and there's about probably 500 hands that just raised their hands. So to the degree that we know about those projects, we can showcase them and make them real, help them scale. Because that's one of the biggest powerful opportunities that we have with Singularity University. So if you have ideas on how to help us engage with you and empower your initiative, you'll have opportunities to do that. We already have 4,644 that self-reported, And that seems like about an order of 10 magnitude off, considering the number of hands that were raised, right? So there's probably 50,000 initiatives around the world that are happening within the SU community. Just wild guess. The other quick thing with that is all of those initiatives are opportunities to create what we like to call uncommon partnerships. Your business may do very well to identify a new business opportunity by solving a GGC, a grand challenge. Those world's biggest problems, as Peter likes to say, are the biggest business opportunities. And we have a massive pipeline of those that you can explore and look at. After you leave SU, the Global Summit here today, you're going to go back home, wherever you may be, and there is a community, I promise you. There is some semblance of a community almost no matter where you will go back to. In some cases very small, in some cases quite established. We have 73 chapters, alumni chapters, in 45 countries today. We expect that'll be about 100 by the end of the year. And we're always looking for more people that want to establish local community groups that are continuing the conversations that you're having here. And we want to support that. So if you're interested, you'll hear more about that through the week. This year, we're running 10 Singularity U summits. It's 2- and 3-day events, not dissimilar from this, that are run and organized by our local partners. This year in 10 countries, next year in more than 10. We're trying to figure out just how many more than 10, but it's going to be a lot. In the Netherlands, we've had more than 1,000 people at the summits. In New Zealand, in the fall of last year, despite the fact that we had a world-shaking earthquake at Ground Central, we still had more than 1,000 people at the summit. And we have one in South Africa. There's more than 1,000 people showing up for the summit there. These are incredible communities coming together to continue this conversation. So again, you're not going to just leave SU after you leave this event. There are many more activities for you to get involved in. And we're expanding on that by building deeper partnerships, so there will be more activities, more events, more educational programs happening locally. We have 2 country partners today, Netherlands and Denmark, and those are going to grow dramatically over the next years as well. So in closing, here's what I'm hoping for all of you. You're going to have an extraordinary few days, but it is all for naught if you don't choose a path for what to do with it. I believe what the world needs now is your passion, your insights, your resources, and your engagement on the projects and problems that really, truly matter to help us craft a positive future. And for us, that's what we like to describe as being exponential. Be aware of these amazing technological forces for good and for changing everything. But also be rooted in the fact that we have a lot of change and transformation that we have to go through, and we have to walk through the realities of our day-to-day. And there's a huge gap that we're going to have to get through. And it is up to all of us, the SU community at large, to figure that out. And along the way, we're going to have a tremendous amount of fun. This is going to be a great couple days. I highly encourage you to spend a lot of time in the demo hall. The party on Monday night, if it is anything like last year's party, is not to be missed. There are still stories being told of that party today. So welcome, everyone, and best of luck on your future journey at Singularity University. Thank you.